world. The living world. Living world. This is the first chapter. In this NEET exam, 2 questions will be there. 2 questions means 2 for the 8 marks. CET, 2 questions, 2 marks. Totally 10 marks weightage is there if you study this chapter thoroughly. Okay, so only thing is line to line you have to study. Okay, ma, that's all. First, briefly, I will keep a little discussion about that. So the living world. So in this one, first we have to see what is living. What is living? So as we try to identify living organisms, as we try to identify and define living things, living organisms. Okay, so when we are thinking about living organisms, certain characteristic features like growth, reproduction, response to environment. Certain conditions are raised in our mind. Okay, that is what living. What is living? So as we try to identify and define living organisms or living things. So when we are discussing about living organisms, certain characteristics like growth, reproduction, response to environment, certain characteristic features immediately raised in our mind. So living things are living organisms. Living organisms exhibit certain features. What kind of features exhibit? First, metabolism, reproduction, self-replication, next, self-organization, to be able to react to emergency situations. Okay, so these are all the properties are exhibited by living organisms. Okay, so living organisms exhibit certain characteristic features, that is metabolism, reproduction, self-replication. Self-replication means what? Self-perpetuation. So one organism gives rise to another organism. Self-organization. So our body, we can manage. Our body can protect ourselves. Okay, and their cells population is raised. These are all the things are maintained by living things. So along with these things, living organisms also exhibit certain characteristic features like growth, reproduction, metabolism, response to certain environmental conditions. These are all the characteristic features are exhibited by each and every living organisms. Okay, these are all the characteristic features of living organisms. Okay, that's all. Next here, mainly among these are all the characteristic features, mainly the living organisms exhibit 4 characteristic features are very commonly. Okay, those important characteristic features of living organisms we will see. So first one is growth. If we will see here, all living organisms grow. All living organisms grow. So growth is defined as an increase in mass. Intrinsic increase in mass. Growth is taken as intrinsic increase in mass. Intrinsic means what? Internally, internal cell mass is increased. Growth can be taken as intrinsic increase in mass and cell number. Intrinsic increase in the sense what? Internal parts are increased. Okay, so first here we will see here how increase in mass. So increase in mass refers to intrinsic increase or increase in protoplasmic matter of the cell. See, this is this protoplasmic matter. So first, see, like this way. Finally, it becomes like this way. Okay, so increase in mass refers to intrinsic increase or increase the protoplasmic matter of the cell. Protoplasm, it is protoplasm, protoplasmic matter of the cells, plasmic matter of the cell. Protoplasmic matter of the cell in the sense what here? So all intracellular organelles, all the intracellular organelles inside the cell, whatever may be the intracellular organelles are there, those are all increased. Now, intracellular organelles means already you know very well. Here we can't discuss that. Okay, so generally here increase. So it is one of the increasing protoplasmic matter of the cell. It is one of the parameters of growth. It is a specific feature of living organisms. Okay, so it is one of the parameters of the growth in the living organisms. It is in such a way increase in mass. Next here I said increase in mass and also cell number. Increase in number. Increase in number. Increase in number. So here increase in number, that is what takes place by the cell division. Cell division. Cell division. Cell division means what already you know that one cell undergoes mitosis divisions and gives two cells. These two cells gives four cells. Like this way, a group of cells are formed. So as a result of cell division, all the cells differentiated. After differentiation, those particular organs growth takes place. In such a way, increase in number takes place. Okay, generally, if we will take plants, if you will see plants, so plants generally grow continuously throughout their life. So certain plant parts such as root apical meristem, shoot apical meristem, root apical meristem, shoot apical meristem, and cambium. So in all these three parts, a rapidly dividing tissue that is called meristematic tissue. That meristematic tissue rapidly divides, redivides, and produces millions of cells. So as a result of these millions of cells production, so the plant parts, root is increased, shoot is increased, cambium. So the cambium means what? The layer between xylem and phloem. See, this is called cambium. So this is called vascular bundles. In the vascular bundles, xylem, phloem, in between these two, what was there? Rapidly dividing cells, tissue. It is called cambium. The cambium contains meristematic tissue. So the meristematic tissue in the cambium and shoot apical meristem, root apical meristem rapidly divides and redivides, produces millions of cells. So as a result of this, these are all the cells produces various parts in the plant. So in such a way, growth process takes place in the plants throughout their life without any objections. Okay, that means what? Growth process in living organisms occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. In the plants, growth does not stop. Parallelly, if you will see here in the animals, if you will see growth. So in the animals, growth highly limited to certain age only. After certain age, in the plants, in the animals, growth is stopped. Animals. In the animals, after certain age, growth is stopped. Okay, in the animals, growth is limited to certain cells only. Sorry, the cell division is limited to certain cells only to replace old, worn out, or dead cells. Okay, after certain age in our body, the growth is stopped. That means what? Cell division also stopped. But the cell division is highly limited to certain parts only in our body. To replace old, worn out, or lost cells, that means dead cells. So generally in our body, in animals' body, so old red blood cells are destroyed after 120 days. The span of old red blood cells are 120 days. After 120 days, new cells are formed. In such a way, per day, 10 into 10 power 12 new red blood cells are formed and same number of old blood cells are destroyed. destroyed. So for this process, cell division is required. When we are met with an accident, at that time cell division is required. So to get it, cure that particular disease. That means what? Animals grow up to certain age only. After certain age, so all the parts of the animals growth is stopped. That means what? Cell division also stopped. But here cell division is highly limited to certain parts only to replace the old worn out or dead cells. Okay, that's all. This is the unicellular, animals growth condition. Next, if we will see unicellular organisms, unicellular organisms, unicellular organisms like bacteria, protists grow their number by cell division. These bacteria protists means what? Amoeba, euglena, paramecium, protozoa, etc. So these protist organisms grow their number by cell division. Cell division means what? Binary fission. Binary fission means everybody knows that within 24 hours. So briefly I am saying that binary fission means what? It is a bacteria. So here nucleus will be there, commonly nucleus will be there. This nucleus is divides and a small partition comes this side and one more partition comes this side. So this is protoplasm, cytoplasmic material. Okay, binary fission means bi means two, binary means two, fission means split. So the parental body divided into two parts. It will grow as a new individual. After that, it is again divided. After that, it is again divided. After that, this is divided. This is divided. This is divided. This is all parts are divided. Within 24 hours, millions of unicellular organisms are formed and forms within whole night. Millions of new parental organisms are formed in unicellular organisms and forms a large colony. That colony is called bacterial population, protist populations. It can be that those millions of unicellular organisms can be observed by counting their numbers under microscope, electron microscope. Okay, so under the microscope and after specific time. Okay, that's all. So in unicellular organisms, they don't show death. Without death, they are immortal. Okay, because of this cell division that is called binary fissions. Here growth process in living organisms, growth process can be visible. We can see externally and internally. So external parts are increased their size shape. That indicates that living organisms growth is visible. But growth process in non-living organisms, non-living organisms like non-living objects like mountains, boulders, sand mounds. So mountains, boulders, sand mounds. In these, the growth process is slow. As more matter is added on them, then automatically growth is occurs. Okay, for example, sand mounds. If you will, it is a sand mound. So tomorrow we have added 5 trucks of sand mound. Then the growth process is increased. They show increase in their mass. When we will add extra matter, extra material like that, mountains, boulders, soil boulders, or any matter. So in non-living objects, the growth is only limited to extrinsic feature, external feature. This increase in mass and growth is seen in non-living being objects by adding extra material from outside. So, but in living beings, in living organisms, growth is intrinsic feature. But in non-living beings, the growth is extrinsic feature. Externally, the growth process is increased. So for example, mountains, boulders, sand mounds, in these, if we will add extra matter, then the external surface is increasing. That is called growth. So here growth process in living beings we can consider as intrinsic as well as extrinsic also. But in non-living beings, growth is only extrinsic feature. Next important characteristic feature, that is reproduction. So the process of reproduction in the sense, so perpetuation of race. Race means what? Their population. So generally reproduction occurs in two ways. One is sexual reproduction, another one is asexual reproduction. Everybody knows that. In first chapter I said it. Sexual reproduction means fusion of male and female gametes leads to the formation of zygote. This zygote produces baby. So offsprings are exactly similar to their parents, more or less similar to their parental organisms. Asexual reproduction. So generally asexual reproduction occurs by various means. Generally, asexual reproduction in living organisms occurs by various means. Those are, first one is spores formation. Spores, first PUC studied, second PUC studied. Spores. So this is mycelium. So spores. These are sporangium. In the sporangium, spores are found. These are called spores. Spores are flagellated spores, non-flagellated spores are there. So fungi, generally fungi, there are number of fungal species are there. Fungi produces millions of spores. When these spores are fall on favorable conditions, then they will germinate and forms new organisms. Okay, that is spores. Next, B, budding. First PUC you studied, second PUC studied. Example, bacteria and yeast. The scientific name of yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Okay, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So budding means what? It is the parental organism. So from any side, a small part is bulged like that. This nucleus is divided. A small part of the nucleus is entered into the bulged part. So after few days, this part is cut and it will grow as a new individual organism. This is called bud. Okay, so budding process commonly takes place in bacteria and yeast. And third one is fragmentation. Fragmentation means what? Parental body, if it is cut, it is a parental body. If it cuts. So when the parental body is cut into several fragments or several pieces, each fragment can give rise to new individual organisms. That process is called fragmentation. It is commonly seen in planaria, protonema of biomass, hydra, some marine worms, some marine organisms. Fragmentation. So whatever maybe the parts are cut, the parental organism, if it is cut accidentally, the cut parts can give rise to new parts. This phenomenon is called fragmentation. Last and final, under asexual reproduction, binary fission. Binary means, so this is the parental organism. It is divided into two parts. After certain days, it will divide into two parts. After certain days, it will divide into two parts. After some days, it will divide into two parts, like that. So like this, within 24 hours, millions of organisms are formed. So commonly binary fission examples already we have seen: amoeba, protist organisms, bacteria, etc. Okay, so generally, so in unicellular organisms, growth process and reproduction process both are synonyms. synonymous with growth. Okay, so the reproduction process is synonymous with growth. Synonymous with growth. That means what? So see, growth simultaneously takes place with reproduction. For example, it is the parental body. The parental body is reproduced to two parts. These two parts will be grown to certain stage. After certain stage, again it will be divided. After, so the newly formed parts again they starts grow day by day they will grow. After certain growth, again those parts starts reproducing. So in the unicellular organisms, the reproduction is synonymous with growth. That is, increase in number occurs simultaneously as they reproduce. First, one parental organism is divided into two parts. Thereafter, it will be grow into new organism. It will be grow into two new organisms. Both will be grown. After reach to certain growth, so this organism is divided, and again forms two organisms. So growth process and reproduction process both are simultaneously takes place. Hence, unicellular organisms show two terms simultaneously: growth to reproduction. Those two terms show simultaneously. Okay, like this way. So reproduction process. So growth is a defining feature of all the living organisms. Growth is a defining characteristic feature of all the living and non-living beings. In such a way, here reproduction is not a defining characteristic feature of all the organisms. So some organisms, the organisms which are produced under experimental condition, that means captivity. That means in vitro, the organisms which are produced in vitro conditions. For example, mules are produced through experimental conditions. Those are produced under captivity, in vitro conditions. So the organisms which are produced in captivity, those are sterile organisms. Sterile means what? They cannot give birth to young ones. Without giving birth to young ones, they can lead their life normally. Like that, some worker honeybees are sterile. Some human couples in human beings are sterile. They cannot give birth to young ones. Without giving birth to young ones, they can lead their life happily. So that, like growth, reproduction is not a defining feature of all the living organisms. Some organisms, without reproducing new organisms, they can lead their life happily. That's why. So hence, reproduction is not inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Inclusive means what? Not important characteristic of living organisms. So without reproduction, without growth, organisms cannot survive. But without reproduction, some organisms can survive. So that reproduction is not a defining characteristic feature of living organisms. Metabolism means all chemical reactions that occur in living cells, which include catabolism and anabolism. So these two are collectively called metabolism. Okay, metabolism means all chemical reactions that takes place in living organisms, which include catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism means the reactions. Catabolism, the reactions break the materials. Whatever may be the food materials are break. Those are called catabolic reactions. So in our body, catabolic reactions are respiration. During respiration, all the materials are break down. Anabolism means what? So construction of food material. Build the material or construct the material. Construct the various kinds of materials. So example, photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, food is constructed. Okay, that's all. So here, see here, all the living organisms, all chemical, chemical and biochemical, all chemical and biochemical reactions commonly takes place in living organisms. Living organisms, whether they are unicellular, or multicellular, all chemical reactions. Chemical reactions means what? Not only metabolic reactions, biochemical reactions. So enzyme mediated reactions, hormone mediated reactions. Those are called all chemical and biochemical. These are very common in unicellular and multicellular organisms. So unicellular organisms performs all metabolic reactions, all the metabolic reactions. Those metabolic reactions are necessary for vital functions in the unicellular organisms. So for performing major functions in the cellular organisms, they can be performs all kind of metabolic reactions. Next, multicellular organisms. So multicellular organisms, whether the plant is a multicellular organisms, animals are multicellular organisms, so fungi, multicellular organisms. So plants, animals, or fungi have metabolic reactions occurs in various systems, or in the cell-free system, occurs in the cell-free system without outside the cell and inside the cell. Digestive system, metabolic reactions takes place. Respiratory system, circulatory system, transport system, like that. Okay, so plants, animals, fungi. In all these organisms, metabolic reactions commonly takes place. Those are occurs in systems, occurring in various systems as well as cell-free systems. Okay, that's it. And isolated metabolic reactions, isolated metabolic reactions, metabolic reactions outside the body. They don't show reactions. See, isolated metabolic reactions. See, an isolated metabolic reactions means what? From our body, any organ is isolated, separate it, keep it in test tube, observe it. Will it show any metabolic activities? No, it will not show any metabolic activities. Okay, that's all. That means what? An isolated metabolic reactions outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube. Those reactions would be neither living nor non-living. That means what? Non-living objects don't show any metabolic reactions. See, from our body, you take one liver and keep it in test tube. Keep it in test tube. Take the liver and keep it in test tube. Will it perform any metabolic reactions? No. That is only non-living organisms, non-living objects don't exhibit metabolism. Okay, no? That's so that living organisms, only metabolic activities occurs in living beings only. So that metabolism is a defining feature of all the living organisms without any exceptions. So non-living objects don't exhibit any metabolic reactions. Okay, so metabolic reactions occurs only in living beings only. So that metabolism is a defining feature of the living beings. Next one, response to external stimuli. Response to external stimuli. So generally living organisms show response to external environment or surroundings by various means. Respond to the environmental stimulus or surrounding stimulus. So which could be physical stimuli, chemical stimuli, biological, biological stimuli, physical stimuli. So physically we will respond to environment. If more temperature is there, then we will show response. Chemical stimuli, if we will use any chemicals, sulfuric acid, if we will use. So the sulfuric acid sensation living organisms can identify. Biological stimuli. So if any allergens are entered into the atmosphere, so those allergens causes various kinds of infections in the living organisms. Like this way, various kinds of chemicals, various kinds of external stimuli. For various kinds of external stimuli, living organisms shows some response. Okay, that's all. Here see plants. You take plants response to external factors. External factors that may be water, light, temperature, humidity, etc. in a variety of ways by increasing or decreasing the rate of transpiration. Plants respond to the external stimuli. That's maybe water. If more water is there, so happily transpiration process is increasing. If water scarcity, water is less, then so the transpiration process is decreased. Light already, so the light is a limiting factor for photosynthesis. If more light, photosynthesis does not take place. So less light, photosynthesis does not take place. Optimal light, optimal temperature. During optimal light temperature, so plants can perform photosynthesis effectively. Humidity, water vapor in the air. When the water vapor in the air is increasing, so to that also plants shows various kinds of responses. So prokaryotes to eukaryotes, all organisms can sense environment. They respond to light by photoperiodism. Prokaryotes, eukaryotes respond to the light by photoperiodism. To seasons by showing cyclic variations. Okay, prokaryotes, eukaryotes sense the environment, respond to light by showing photoperiodism. Photoperiodism means what? See, generally, so short day plants, long night plants, day neutral plants. Like this way, three types of plants are surviving in our surroundings. Those three types of plants respond to the light. So the plants which are responding to the light, that phenomenon is called photoperiodism. So some short day plants, they requires night is more, day is less. In such climatic conditions only they show cyclic changes. Some plants long night, some plants requires short day, long day plants, day is required long, night is less. In such climatic conditions they will give flowers. Day neutral, day and night must be neutral, should not be more, should not less, rainy seasons. In such a way plants respond to light by photoperiodism. So in such a way they show cyclic changes, cyclic variations according to the seasons. Among all the living organisms, only the human beings have the capacity to identify external stimuli as well as internal stimuli. So remaining organisms, they have only about external stimuli. They don't have self-consciousness. For example, for this, already many times I said that you go through your previous training notes. Okay, so among all the living organisms, human beings are the only organism who are not only conscious or aware of the outside environment, but also aware of themselves. Outside awareness, as well as self-consciousness. consciousness, self-consciousness. So this is what only maintained by humans. This is depends upon cranial capacity. Our cranial capacity is 1800. So except human beings, if you will compare any other species in animal kingdom, they don't have that much awareness about their surroundings and self-consciousness. That's why. Okay. So see here. So awareness or consciousness can be exhibited only by living beings. Awareness or consciousness exhibited by living beings. So consciousness is the defining property of self-consciousness is the defining property of living organisms. Okay, so that's a self-consciousness commonly exhibited by all the organisms.